go through a 1-hour aerial yoga flow class. You don't need any props. You just need your mat, a hammock that is hitting about hip height, maybe a tiny bit higher, and if it's hot where you are, maybe even a little bit higher than that, so the heat will, it'll accommodate for the heat, stretching the fabric out a little bit more. So to test, remember you can put it behind you and just sit down. And today the main thing I want is that your knees can touch the ground. And if you tuck your back toes under, they can still touch. So just go ahead and test that to make sure. And then let's come down to the mat, child's pose. So we'll have our hammock behind us. We are in front of our plumb line. Knees are hip distance apart. Heels are touching behind you. And I'm kind of right in the middle of my mat. I like to line up my hammock so it's in the middle of my mat. Sink the hips back to the heels. Extend the arms as far as the corners of your mat. And then let's try to press through the palms of the fingers. Roll up to the sky and then come down to your forehead. And let's rest the top of our nose on the ground, kind of smushing the top of your nose. And that should get you right to the space between your eyebrows. And then start a gentle roll side to side. And then see if your hands and your shoulders can start to get involved. Pressing your armpits down to the ground one at a time as you roll side to side. So you're making some effort here. Rolling one armpit down, another armpit up. Stretch. And then extending both elbows up off the ground, pushing the floor away from you and pushing your weight even further back to your heels. So sits bones and heels ideally are touching. Take one more deep breath. And then inhale, walk your hands over to the right. And as far as your right hand can go, that's great. Think of about 45 degrees away from your shoulder. We're going to take this left arm and scoop it underneath our right arm and the floor and rest on the outside of the left shoulder. Drop the head down to the ground and push the floor away from you slightly as you roll that right shoulder away from your right ear. And then resting on the left side of my face and forehead. Kind of dropping weight purposely down into that shoulder, like pushing it down to the ground. Keep your left hip heavy to your left heel. Shoulder opener. And we're spending about 5 deep breaths in each pose. I'll bring my right hand under my right shoulder to help lift me up. And let's come back down to our child's pose. And then we're going to walk our hands over to the left. My left fingertips are 45 degrees in front of my shoulder. Right arm is going to scoop between my body and the floor. Rest on the right side of your face this time. That left palm is pressing into the earth. Fingertips can lift a little. So you're really pushing away the whole palm. I'm going to push the left shoulder away from here. Right palm is facing up. And I'm actually kind of pushing the floor away from me. My right shoulder. Activating that muscle, allow it to stretch a little bit easier. Left hand over under left shoulder, inhale, roll it on up. Let's go forward onto our forearms, and we'll go ahead and grab opposite biceps. Make sure that we can reach the biceps with our fingers, extend forearms to parallel. Give a little grip, a little rub back and forth with your palms. You're getting some traction with the earth. And then inhale forward, knees under the hips, shoulders under the elbows. We'll inhale, lift the knees up and press with your forearms to push your weight back towards your heels. Start walking it out. Walking the dog. Heels press to the earth one at a time. That means one knee's gonna bend as the other one straightens. And I'm purposely really pushing my shoulders away from my ears, trying to reach my chest toward the top of my thighs. And then inhale, come forward. If you're doing a push-up, you might need to slide your feet back a little. And let's see if we can find that hammock. Woo! We are really far away from that hammock. See if we can find that hammock. Hopefully you were closer than me with your right leg. So right foot is inside. I'm going to retest And let's get ready for floating plank. So we're gonna step the left foot in to meet the right to hold for 5 breaths, and then we'll let the left knee down exactly like we are at right now and push back to a lunge. All right, so let's come in, inhale, lifting between shoulder blades. The left foot meets the right, we're in our floating plank. Now if you wanna kind of add a little bit more, we're gonna sway the heels side to side, activating the obliques a little bit more. Keep lifting between the shoulder blades, maybe lowering the hips. If you look back at your toes, you're going to lower the hips so you can't see the ankles, but you can still see your toes. Squeeze the glutes. On your next exhale, we're going to be lowering the left knee under the left hip. And then I'll walk my whole body and out wide and sink the hips back toward that left heel. Forehead can rest on the ground. Now my forearms actually push the floor away from me. So they're really active here. I'm pushing the shoulders away from the ears. So this is what it would be like if the shoulders were in the ears and here I'm really actively pushing them back. Right leg is going to be as straight as you can get it. It doesn't have to be completely straight. You determine how much you want to feel today in that right hip flexor. The left top of the foot is on the ground. Instead of pushing the floor away with the left shin, let's see if we can sink back. Coming forward, we'll line up, elbows underneath the shoulders. Once more, extending forearms to parallel. Left foot steps in to meet the right. And this time we're going to go for our tucks. So we'll do 5 tucks. Exhale, lifting the hips and bringing the knees into the chest. Drop the head between the upper arms. Inhale, legs go straight and long, and then come back to your plank. So exhale, lifting the hips up, pike, tucking knees in. Inhale, lift the legs, and come back to that plank. Good, 3 more just like that. Go at your own pace. See what feels good for you. If you need to do a few and come down, don't worry. Do that. You'll have plenty of time to catch up with us. Lower right knee under right hip. And wash, rinse, repeat that lying lunge. Let me go even wider this time with my elbows and press the earth away. I like the way it makes my collarbone get into the game, my pecs get into the game. Try to let those shoulders relax those so they're not squeezing the floor away or pushing the floor away to avoid the sensations in the hips. Remember, you can straighten that left leg out and let it bend, or just keep it straight, see what fits for you today. I doubt many of us will be able to keep that left leg straight for very long. And then we're going to inhale. Once again, come forward onto the forearms. So this is where we're going to practice walking into downward dog. So I'm going to show you the foot maneuver and then the hook with the foot over the knee to drag the fabric above the knee to prepare us for the downward dog, and then we'll practice it together. So you can watch this time. I'm actually not going to keep the elbows under my shoulders for this one. I'm just going to show you here for a second what this looks like. So I hook the foot and then I lift one leg and drag the fabric just above my knee. From there, my other leg straightens up the fabric and then I drop it down to meet the other leg. So here's where things are going to get a little bit tricky, but we'll move on from there in just a second. So again, just to recap, I lift, I hook. You practice the other way. I can lift the other leg, use my foot to hook the fabric above the knee, take my leg up, keeping traction with the hammock on my foot, and then slicing it down. Yeah? All right, so let's practice that once, and then come down, and I'm going to walk you through the other side. And let's do it together. We'll practice one time together. So lifting up, both feet are in the hammock. Lift one leg, use the hook of your foot to slide that fabric above the knee. Straighten the foot hook leg, and then slide it down to meet the other. And then this practice coming out by straightening that leg up, hooking it, lifting it, and taking it to the ankles, and lowering it into the earth. Awesome. So hopefully that worked out. It felt good. You can always pause this and then try it a few more times. I'm going to walk you into downward dog from here. And for this next part, I am going to come up onto my hands to do this. You could do it from your elbows and just walk your elbows back, but I think it's a little easier actually from the hands. So I'll demonstrate now. And just like downward dog, I'm gonna come into like a downward dog. Hands are in front of me, front heel is ahead. And so here's what's fun. I just come forward into that plank pose. Bring the other foot in. I grab it, slide it above the knee. Leg slides up, comes down to meet the other one. Then I bend the knees and I tick-tock them. I drop the heels over to one side and then the other, and then the fabric shifts over my thighs. If it doesn't, I just boom, open my legs like a cheerleader, kicking them into a wide V and straightening the legs like toy soldiers. Kick through the heel or point through the toe. Keep your hands right where they are, and let's start a rotation left to right. This is not to go as fast as you can. You need to keep your arms somewhat straight, more straight than bent, right? So you keep the weight out of your shoulders. You're using your core to move you around. It's not very fast. We're going about 45 degrees on each side. So we're creating a 90-degree angle with the body. All right, let's open up into that big pie slice with our legs. Lower the heels in line with the hips. And then we're going to tap the heels to touch. And then inhale, open. And I'll show you from this side also. Exhale, squeeze in. Inhale, pop open. Good. And I'll show you a couple from this side. Awesome. Okay, from here, we're going to lower our feet to the ground. Feet are hip distance apart. Bring this fabric up just above your belly, and then bend your knees, let your upper body hang. We're going to inhale really big into our stomach muscle. Flex it and push it into the fabric. Keep pushing it in and drop your body weight onto it. So your stomach is really pushing into that hammock, but you're lifted up. And then inhale, slowly rise up. This is to suck some of that blood flow back toward our head, away from our stomachs. When we come up, we don't see stars or feel dizzy. Awesome. So we're going to graduate that downward dog into infinity loop. So, but I want to kind of break that down a little bit more, right? How we came in and out. So I want to come into the downward dog this time from the front, okay? So I'm going to come behind my plumb line, make sure the fabric is in my hands, hip distance apart. If the hands are too low, if we come into this, for the forward fold into downward dog, our thumbs are going to be trapped, so don't let them slide down. Be really mindful of keeping them out wide and to the outside. I use my thumbs touching my hip bones as a good guide that my hands are in the right place. I'll look up, make sure I'm under my beam or plumb line, and then inhale, lift the heels. Use all your body weight to push that fabric down under your hip bones. Exhale and fold forward. And here's where you want those hands to slide out after all your body weight is trapping the fabric below your hip bones. Go ahead and get your hands in that downward dog facing shape where they're a little wider than your shoulders, middle finger straight ahead, thumbs looking at each other, and palms flat like pancakes to the ground. Notice my feet are tiptoeing back. And as soon as my feet can't tiptoe anymore, those are those little black things back there that are tapping the mat. As soon as they can't go anymore, I'm going to flex them. So I just pull the toes up toward my shins, and ideally the legs are really straight and stiff from here. I'm going to squeeze them together and lift them in line with my hips. So this is just one more way to come into our downward dog. So we're going to open the legs into that cheerleader V that we had. Hook the tops of the feet around your plumb line from the outside. And when I did that, I don't want to collapse in my upper body. I want to keep my upper body up with some support from my arms. Start a gentle sway side to side. And we should feel kind of some separation between the hips and the ribs. And like create some space in that area of our body. Notice if you are not breathing, try to find some supple breath. And I consider a supple breath one that I can inhale as long as I can exhale. Excellent. And let's just see how that went. Open the legs back to that cheerleader V. Bring the heels back together. Swing your feet forward. They are hip distance apart. Bring the fabric to your belly and bend your knees, drop all your body weight into the hammock, and then inhale, flex your tummy again. Squeeze, 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 push it into the hammock. Ooh, and then keep on up to standing. All right, let's make sure that our hips feel kind of loose. We'll do some rolls. Swing the fabric around behind us. Put it on like a vest. Sit down like you're sitting into a chair, and I want that fabric in a bra strap line. You can see in the mirror behind me. So I don't want it up into my armpits. I want it really around that bra strap line. Or back of the heart, back of the nipple line. I look up, my head is underneath my plumb line, telling me my shoulders and my hips are too. My feet are in a 90-degree angle in front of me, heels under the knees, big toes pointed straight ahead. Just look down at your feet. Make sure the arches of your feet are facing each other, that they're not rolled out. That's gonna put a lot of pressure on the inner knee. Okay, we're gonna start to roll back and then roll forward. And as I roll forward, I'm pushing off the balls of my feet, landing my heels back down. And from there, I can feel how far forward I go until my gut gets really hard. And as soon as it gets hard, I'm gonna stop and start my rotation. Left hand reaches up and over, and it comes back to my hip. Right arm reaches up and over. If you're drawing a big rainbow with your hands, even the fingers are spread really wide. Like there's a slice of pie or pizza between each of your fingers. And this should feel really good. This is dorsal, two big sheaths of muscle on our back. Do so much work for us. Try to keep your stomach kind of pulled in to help support that lower back, getting the stretch. And I'm going to keep the arms reaching as active as I can. I'll come back to center. I'm going to pitch my hips back and my upper body forward as I come into this forward fold. I'll feel when I get my hips under my plumb line. Ideally, it's where I get into this fold. And then we're going to start that same kind of sway, but from the hips up, so the shoulders are moving. And here you might hear, because this fabric is right behind our thoracic spine, you may hear some snaps, crackles, pops that come up from this. You could also open up your shoulders a lot, so try to keep the head heavy. Make sure that you're letting your head sway. We're going to be mimicking what we're going to be doing in just a minute with that infinity loop with the downward dog. So come back to center, bend the knees, but not further than your big toes, and use your hands, tuck your tailbone under, and roll up slowly. Awesome. We're going to sit down in our hammock once more, like we're sitting into a chair. Cross your right ankle over your left knee, and then interlace your hands behind your head. On an inhale, we're going to scoop forward, bringing the hips forward and the elbows forward. And then we're going to inhale and reach the elbows back, press the hips back. Exhale, resist and push your forearm, your wrist into the fabric. Tuck your tailbone like you're getting ready to flip your hips up to the ceiling. Inhale, open, lengthen, abdominal roll. Exhale, squeeze, tuck. Inhale, like cow pose, and then exhale. We're just going to do one more thing here with our right ankle over our left knee. We'll straighten the left leg, reach the arms and the chest back. I'm still holding the curviest part of my head, and I'm letting my fingers weave into each other to help kind of make a little basket for my head. This feels great on the upper body as well. A couple more breaths here. Don't be afraid to breathe. And switch. Left ankle crosses over the right knee. I'm still holding that interlace behind the curviest part of my head. I'm going to pull my wrists in, kind of dip my head in, curl the elbows forward, tuck the tailbone under. Inhale, drop that tailbone, drop the head back, push your tailbone back as well. Exhale, tuck, squeeze the elbows in toward the knees. Keep that knee over your right heel. Inhale. Open that cow. Imagine that you are opening your heart space too. Right? Exhale. Tuck. Squeeze. Inhale. Open. Stretch. And exhale. Tuck. And inhale. Exhale. big toes aren't straight ahead, then you might feel a little wavering side to side. I'm doing some self-soothing movement. We have 2 more breaths here. Use your inhale to bring you back to center. Those feet flat.